Hi everyone, I'm Rajkamal and welcome back to the brand new series of AI product engineering. And in continuation to that, today I'm going to talk about even more advanced concept which comes under Docker. So that is the Docker volume, which is a pretty much important concept if you are building a full-fledged application because there is a requirement of persisting the data and wherever it is required because as a full-fledged application you would be maintaining front-end back-end AI services and DB containers caching system all those things, and there will be interaction between happening between your backend services and the DB services with respect to some creating table, inserting record, blah blah things. So there you feel there is a need of Docker volume, right? So with regards to that, I will emphasize enough to focus on today's session, which is because that is pretty much important for you. So guys, without further delay, let's get started. All right. So guys, let me go to the blackboard first. So I'm here. If you see it, right? So this is just in the continuation to the previous discussion only, guys. So there I already talk about this existing application architecture, which is Dockerized, which is running under the Docker containers. Individual Docker container got spin up for the backend, front end, right? And then the nginx requests are coming from the browser, let's say in our case, and then there is a reverse proxy manager, and it's deciding that this request is with respect to backend or the front end with respect to the routes we have defined inside the default .conf file. Now, when the backend services endpoint called, it could be doing some database activities. For that we need to there is a need to just a minute, guys, let me post it a little bit above. Okay, now it's fine. So in order to make some changes at the database level, suppose you want to create some table, want to push some records with respect to the users, implies anything. For that you need to have the DB component, some DB containers running underneath so that you can just serve those requests on particular port number, right? So those networking will be happening. So, and even whatever the data, whatever the table DB you are creating underneath, it should be persistent in nature because that's how the business runs. It's not like that you onboarded 1,000 users for your product and applications, and you have done some act and you are just capturing your suppose user interactions to your products, and you're just maintaining those record inside the database. And someday what happened, your whole system got started because underneath these are the containers. It could be restarted, it could be removed, right? So there are particular commands: docker remove rm, docker rm hyphen f followed by the container name, all those things. It could be removed, it could be recreated, it could be restarted. In that scenario, we cannot afford losing the this customer data, right? Whatever we have stored so far for the business continuity. So to I mean to make something persistent at the storage level, we would require some Docker services for that, right? So Docker is offering Docker volume to persist your data permanently, right? Kind of, if suppose if you are storing something on your hard drive, right, that will be persistent. However, if you are storing something on the RAM, that is not persistent, right? It will be flushed as in when new session got triggered, right? So that's the whole idea. So for the persistent storage, Docker volume will come into the picture. Okay, so let's go to the practical implementation of Docker volumes at project level. So guys, as I explained, we will be maintaining a database component as well. Okay, so guys, here inside this VS Code project, you can see I'm just maintaining this docker compose.yml file only, so that it can create and manage two Docker images, one for the MySQL, which is essential for a database services, right? Because there only we can go, we can connect, login, right? And then we can create the database, tables, and do the ACID transactions, whatever it's required, be it's inserting, updating, deleting, select, each and everything we can do it there. So this service is with respect to those database activities, and this service that I have used here to provide provide a user interface. Because if you remember, if you have worked previously in MySQL DB, so it is a kind of a black screen. It is not a very interactive screen. There is no UI at all. You just log in inside that black screen, a Unix box kind of thing, and passing the commands, writing the commands, and in order to interact with your database, whether you want to create the database table, retrieving each and everything, but the UI part is missing there. So for that I'm using some extra service, which is PHP my admin. So in the Docker Hub community there are such images which are available. I'm using one of such image, which is helping me to create an extra layer of UI interface, so that I can interact with my MySQL database in much easier and much convenient manner. So that is the whole idea. Okay, but the main thing is MySQL only, because this is the database where I can do all the database related activities. So I have defined the image name MySQL container would be MySQL container. For that, restart always the environmental things I have mentioned. What will be the root password, then database user, and then password. Okay, so this is the root password, and this is the suppose a database level. If you want to log in at database level, I can use this credential, this user and password. If I want to log in at the root or admin level, I can use this one, MySQL root password. User will be root only, right? In that case, might be you're thinking what will be the user, so user will be root only in that case, in the admin cases. So I was talking about the port, right? So this is the same port I'm talking about here, that there will be some port number. Just a minute guys, let me use some different color so that, so there will be some different port number on which some request will be coming from the backend to the database services, and this port is 3306, 3306, right? So this is the container port. However, it will be running on 3307 port number on my local. So in my local it will be 3307, and the request will go from here to there, right? And then it will return it back to, in order to show it on the UI or whatever the provision is there as a part of your project, right? Hopefully that is clear. So here I'm just using this Docker Compose file. As a result of that, when I will be building that, sorry guys, I'm I just I mean by mistake I have just opened Docker MySQL without volume. Let me open this volume one first, because I will show you later that what will happen if you're not using volume. So this one is with respect to volume. Each and everything is same only. I mean MySQL image, and then the PHP my admin for the UI interface. But here additionally what I am using volume, and volume I have defined as a part of MySQL service, right? Along with the image detail and the environmental uh, parameters that I have defined. So volume, I have defined that I will be using volume with MySQL underscore data. This is the name of volume. There would be list of volumes available, right? See on the Docker desktop, I'm clicking on the volume. So whatever the projects I have created, and there, if I have used Docker volume concept, right? So it will be visible here as a part of those project variables. So in one of the project I have in one of the project I have used this Docker volume, which is Docker MySQL. This is the one I'm just demoing you currently. So this is the current one, okay, that I'm trying to create it here and want to leverage it, and can help you understand its internal functionality. Apart from that, there was a different project I was doing as a part of my personal project, like Project Skeleton, Postgres data. So here I'm using Postgres database. Here I'm using MySQL, and here I'm using here also I'm using Docker volume for the persistent storage. So here also I have used it. That's why it's coming under this volume tab, right? So this is where you can come and cross validate what all volumes you have created with respect to the application you have developed so far. So one of the application this, one of the, another application this, right? And the name is simple, MySQL data. MySQL data, this is concatenated to this project name. So docker underscore MySQL is project name, then it got appended concatenated with MySQL data. This is the volume name that we have defined here, and this is the path basically, guys. So this is the path, actual path, that also I will show you. Yeah. And then additionally, in the under the volume tag, we can mention whatever the volume we have defined. So MySQL data we have defined, so this is something we have to put it here. I hope the explanation is neat and clear. You're able to relate it each and everything. This is the whole idea. In a practical manner, I can explain you so that you feel confident. Okay, and let me start it. So there is a command like docker compose up hyphen d. Using that, it will make sure container are running. So before, I mean, recording this session, I have tested it. So that time it was not started. The first time it was starting. So that's where it's mentioning started. Now since it's already running, right? So how you will be ensuring that that service is running or not, right? You have to go there in the container with a green light, with a green signal, right? This green point, it's mentioning it's running. See, after hovering it, it's also mentioning running. That's where you can that's how you can validate it. So currently it's running, that's what it's telling, right? So let's go to the docker desktop UI and let's validate it. So see, two container has been spinned up as a part of this docker compose file. That's what I'm talking about. Two services, one is MySQL image detail I provided, another is my, sorry, PHP my admin image detail is this, right? So those two containers are up and running. So in order to access this MySQL DB, I use this user interface with the help of PHP Let me click it here. See, it opens this interface. Let me, it's already logged in, and it's populating this euron DB. This is what I have mentioned, right? If you see euron DB, euron DB. So MySQL DB, it's showing that this one. Then the MySQL user, so there is one table already there. I have created that. Let me create one more and prove that it will persist even if I restart the container, remove the container, and even after removing, if we again I mean launching it, you will see that the volume data volume is there, and you can make the proper interaction, retrieve the data from this from PHP my admin interface. So those all communication will happen smoothly because data persists somewhere, and where this is already we have mentioned the part of docker compose file. This is the path where data is stored, right? So I hope you're able to understand. Let me create one one table here. Okay, so I'm inside euron db database. I have just noted it down some of the, okay. So as a part of those data feeds, so what I am going to do, I will be creating this table, let's say, okay, and then I'll just click on the go, but saying referring user ID is inconsistent, incompatible. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me delete then this. What is saying? Let me reference. Let me remove. Let me create it separately. Okay. without that. I hope this will work independently. Okay, now let me insert some of the records for that. So see, this is the database, right? So tables, it's showing two tables. Post is also visible. See, this is what I have created. Now it's visible. And see if we look into the columns showing context, blah blah things. Let me insert some records. Duplicate entry for this. John Day. I was doing on okay. I need to do it inside the post. Sorry, because see this data is already inserted as a part of users, and this because there I have created a unique key constraint, so I cannot push the same record again and again. See, for the username it should be unique, so that's where this error is coming. But let me do it for the post because this is what we have created, right? Don't get confused. So see, the data has been inserted successfully. I can come here and just select all from posts. Okay, see, these are the records we inserted, right? 123, 123, first post, first post. This is the content of the, this is the content of the first post. And this is something automatically get inserted as a part of these insertions for audit purposes. But let's focus on these records that we have inserted as a part of this uh, posts table, right? Then second record, then again there is a one record with user ID 1, user ID 1, and the second post, then this is the content for the second post, right? All these things happened. So you can see we are successfully able to create a posts table and inserted few of the records as well, right? That thing is done successfully. Now let's validate from the docker desktop that is it really inserted there, and if we are claiming that this will be persistent in nature, let's validate it. Let's go to the docker desktop. So I'm just going to click on this db, then on files. What path we have given? This where only, right? Where, then lib, then there is a mysql, this. And see, the volume is also this label as a volume is coming here, so that you can you can also get the confirmation that these are the file created as a part of docker volumes, because there are many files stored here, but those are not permanent. These are the files which are handled by docker internally as a part of docker volume, and it will persist. And see, as a part of those dbs, let's go there. Where is those db? Euron db, right? Euron db. Inside Euron I have created this post, see, 2 minutes ago. Similarly for this as well, 3 minutes ago. You can see it, right? Now data is persisted. Now I have what I have to prove. If I restarted and let's suppose I have even removed that container, right? I deleted it, and what will happen? It will still available inside the volume or not? And even if I am again relaunching the container, will I be able to see those uh, this Euron data inside the data volumes or not? These are the question in my mind. Let's go proceed ahead and validate those things and get the answers in real time. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete it, right? So I just mentioned those commands basically: container deletion, container recreation, and then we need to validate the data recovery part. That's what I have discussed. So data I have created. Okay, I have shown you this volume where these volumes got created. Inspection I have done. I have shown you the expected output as well. How does it look like? Then let's do this exercise. The exercise is stopping the container or deleting the container, and let's validate it's still there or not. Okay, so that it will guarantees that, because that's what it guarantees, that if it is a docker volume, whatever we are storing as a docker volume, it will persist no matter your container is running or not, or your container is no more or not, right? So let's do it. So I'm just stopping my db container. Let's come here. DB container is stopped. Let's see, after the this container got stopped, are we able to access those users data or post data that we have created as a part of MySQL table records or not, right? Let's go to the Docker volume. Let's go to first container. See, inside the container, this got stopped already. MySQL DB. Let's go to the volume. Not inside the volume. Let's, I mean, it will persist. Yeah, I know. Inside the MySQL database, go see the stored data. Before you were seeing some additional tabs here, but as that Docker container is stopped, those additional features are not enabled for you, but the storage will be still active because we have made it Docker volume. So see, inside the, yeah, euron DB, we have both the table data available, right? I validated. Even let me delete the container and let's validate it from there as well. Okay, I'm going to delete. See guys, I'm doing the whole exercise with Docker volume. If the as a storage I'm not using Docker volume, definitely if I'll start the container, stop the container, or restarting it or deleting the container, the data will be lost, right? So that's what I'm trying to convey, but through the practical implementation, the idea is to prove that as well. So that's what I'm doing it here. So let me delete as well. So for that, let me go to the container. Let me go to the this VS Code project. I'm just removing this container, guys. Okay, this is removed. Now let me check it from the Docker desktop. See, it is removed. Inside the Docker MySQL project, there is no MySQL DB container available. It is removed, I mean, physically as well. Now let's come here. I cannot navigate from here because that image itself, the container itself gone. I need to come here. Let's see. This is the one, right? This Docker MySQL data. This is the MySQL data volume you have created, right? Under the Docker MySQL. See, come here on DB. Click here. See, both the data are available, which we created 7 minutes, 8 minutes back only. Hence proved. All right. Okay. So with Docker volumes, volumes, I have proved you, if there is a business requirement where we want to persist the data, we can do it. But what if we are not using data volume? Will it still persist or not? Let's validate it. However, theoretically it is saying it will not persist. But let's validate it practically as well. Okay. So I have created different project for that. This is a Docker MySQL. Let me open Docker MySQL without volume. There is one other project I've created. Yeah, this one, Docker MySQL without volume. So here as well, I would require only Docker compose YML file as a service I need to use MySQL, the same thing, port binding, and this environmental variable setting, each and everything is same as the earlier one. For PHP my admin, which is, I mean, offering you extra layer of user interface to make it more interactive, right? So that you can in a very interactive manner you can interact with your MySQL database through the through this GUI, and you can do all those operations in a simpler manner. But see guys, I am not using Docker volume anywhere. Okay, here I need to mention, if you refer to the previous project, I was using volume, right? Volume, what is the volume name? I need to define the volume and path as well inside the this MySQL DB container. But here I'm not doing anything. Okay, let me run this composer, compose. Yeah, so this is a command, guys. You can refer it. So using Docker compose up hyphen d, using that, it will from this single file itself where it have all the information, which all image it need to pull from the Docker hub, what all things it needs to configure at time of spinning up the container. Each and everything is mentioned there, right? So it will do it automatically from this command. What happened? This UI is already running, right? Let me delete it first. This is the conflict basically. Let me come here, let me stop it, and even let me delete this, right? The way I have deleted the MySQL DB container. Let me do it from there. Remove MySQL UI. I believe UI is for this PHP UI interface, right? For the MySQL. So let me delete it. This is also deleted. Now if you go to the container, there is nothing, right? Nothing is there. I mean, this is without this is coming as a part of MySQL DB under the new project I've created, right? So here additionally I need to get MySQL UI as well so that I can access this DB. Let me do it, guys. See, now UI and DB everything is up and running. Let me come here. You can see both are working. Let me log in using root. I have logged in. See here, there is nothing because I'm not using Docker volume. Let me create something first, okay? And then I will just restart the container and will validate whether data is still persist there or not. So show tables to validate there is nothing show tables, right? Let me create those tables again. I'm just creating this user one quickly using this ready-made commands, DDLs basically. It's done. Let me insert some data quickly for the data seeding. Now you can see there is a table, there is a column, everything, there is a data. Let me just cross validate what all data is available. Users, we have pushed two data, right? John Doe and Jane Smith. You can see it. John Doe, and Jane Smith. This is what we have inserted. Now data is there, right? We are going to experiment the things where I'm saying if I'm stopping or restarting or deleting the container, and even though if you are uh, again instantiating or recreating the container, it the data will be lost because we are not using Docker volume here. That is the whole exercise, right? Let me do it quickly, guys. We are here on the Docker MySQL without volume only. Okay, in this under this project, VS Code project, just I'm running the commands inside the terminal. So here I'm going to stop it. So there are the command I have written it for the Docker stop and the service name. So this is a container name, right? For the DB. Let me stop it and see the data persist or not. Because as of now, data is there. It's it's gone. It's down now. Let me see it from the container. See, it's down. It's exited. It's ended. UI is running, right? Let me check. Let me check from the UI if the data is. Let me launching it first again from here. UI is running, right? Cannot log into MySQL. Okay, I think the communication is happening between this MySQL container and the PHP myadmin container, right? If DB is not up and running, it's not able to serve. So let me do. I have stopped it out, right? Now let me start the container again, or let me even delete. Okay, let's not do it. The deleting the record as of now. Let me first restart the container again and validate whether I'm able to see the data or table I have created in through the PHP my admin interface, right? So from there I can prove if you are not using volume, so at least should not you won't be able to see your user tables and related records inside it, right? Let me restart it again. I'm inside the Docker MySQL without volume only. Okay, this is also started coming here. It's running. Let me log in. Yeah, now it will work. Root 123 db. Okay, it's showing, I believe, but there is some glitch. I need to fix that. No, it's happening, but this is incorrect. I think I need to use the different name underneath. Somehow it's binding to the volume. That's what my hunch is. So let me stop it and let me create this DB and UI with different name and then validate without Docker volume it is able to persist the data or not. So guys, this could also happen to you. Okay, so it's good that you are able to see the real-time challenges or the confusion arises. So hopefully after learning from this session you will not get confused. So let me change the Docker name first to make it a separate identity. In here let me see it as a one, sorry, pp1. So guys, now for this Docker compose file, I'm using container name as a MySQL db1, and for the UI I'm using MySQL UI1. So as a part of this project, ideally it should run the container name with suffix 1. Let me start. It's recreating everything. Okay, let me see it. Inside the MySQL without DB, there are two containers you can see, one with respect to MySQL DB and one with respect to UI. Let's open it. Okay, root here. Guys, I can see again the same thing is happening. I think it's still referring the older data volume for the storage. Let me do it explicitly. Let me delete this Docker volume first. So this is the volume it's referring underneath. Let me delete it first. Deleted. Now there is no Docker volume with respect to the previous project exist. Let me build it freshly. Even for this container, what I have created, let let me delete it this and create freshly. Let me delete it from this UI itself. This is I'm inside the Docker MySQL without volume only. Stop. No, I want to delete. Docker. There is a command rm -f MySQL UI1, then MySQL DB1, then MySQL DB. There is nothing, no container such as such, because it was showing here. That's why I got confused that how it is showing that these are the also container with respect to DB and UI. But anyways, I mean, it is coming from the cache. However, in real, there are two containers only, one with respect to DB, one with respect to the UI. I have removed both of them. And let me build it freshly. So now, as of now, there is let me go to this UI Docker desktop. Here I can see there is a no project as such with respect to this name, Docker MySQL without volume. Docker MySQL without volume. There is no project as such. Okay, let me run it. So as a part of running this Docker compose file, it will spin up two containers with respect to SQL and with respect to UI. This one. Okay, Docker compose. Yeah, it's up and running. Now let me come here. Yeah, here under this project, let's see two these containers are running, one with UI. Let me open this, launch this UI and do the login. It should be fresh one. See, there is a no data, no table inside it. Let me create first quickly, guys, because this recording has become already a longer one, big one. Just creating this one and try to insert to records the part of data seed. Let me do it. What happened? This is also done. If you come here and if you select all from users, you hit that, You can see there are two records, right? Till there we are fine. Let me stop. Let me stop this container. Docker stop my SQL DB, and not even just what I'm trying to do, not even stopping. Let's delete and relaunch it so that we will cover each and every aspects, right? So in order to delete it, right? So again, Docker, this one, I'm removing everything, guys. Okay, and then I'm trying to see UI1. So I have removed this DB image, this UI image, UI container, sorry. Everything is deleted. Let's check here. There is a no uh, Docker MySQL project without volume. Okay, without volume. So there is no such project exist because I have just removed those containers. Now let me relaunch and see if data is still persist inside the database MySQL or not. Because in the case of data volume that was existing, here you can see there is a no MySQL volume created because I'm not using a Docker volume here. Okay, containers. Let me rebuild it. Okay, I have rebuilded it. Let me check from the UI. Where is that? Yeah, this is the UI. Got it. You can see, guys, there is a nothing. You remember we have created a users table and inserted two records, but because we are not using Docker volume here, so it is not persisting that data forever, right? So that is the whole idea. If you are not using a Docker volume, it will not persist the data. If you are using, so even your container got crashed or restarted, and you even if you deleted each and everything in terms of the containers, and again you are building it from scratch using Docker Compose, it will work. Your data will be intact, right? So it depends upon the business requirement. You need to design the things accordingly. So, guys, let me check the agenda whether I have created each and everything. Yeah, I have created each and everything. I believe I covered up. Yeah, each and everything I covered. And guys, uh, so as a part of this project, I have, sorry, as a part of this recording, I have covered each and everything which is planned for today. And I'm pretty much sure that you would have learned something new today because in today's session, I encountered some of the glitches because where I have not deleted the Docker volume and I was using the same name for the MySQL database image and even the MySQL UI images. So it was somewhere caching and retrieving the older data, referring the older data, even though I was not using a Docker volume. So it could happen with you as well in the real-time project. But going through this video, it will give you the understanding if that is the case, how you can rectify changing by changing its name, adding some suffix. And before that you have to just remove or delete Docker volume in order to validate that whether the current setup where we are not using Docker volume it's not caching any data, right? Otherwise, you will be in the impression it is still storing the data, but that is not the case. Okay, so I hope guys you liked today's video. So with that, I am signing off. But remember, keep learning, keep growing, and keep building together. Thank you.